The Kansas City Chiefs had a great offense last year. They did not have a good defense. They were 24th in points per game allowed, 31st in yards per game allowed. Now, they did very well when it comes to sacks, but what did that get them? They couldn't stop teams on third down. They were at 26th in the league, and that defense perceived to be the Achilles heel of the franchise. So have they done enough to make it better? Given that guys like Eric Berry are gone, Justin Houston is gone, Dee Ford was traded, they have added Tyrann Mathieu, they've traded for Emmanuel Ogbah, Alex Okafor signed via free agency from the Saints. Are the Chiefs going to be good enough, and have they done enough to make that defense as good as it can be?
Yeah, well, there's definitely, it's a regime change, right? Steve Spagnuolo's the new defensive coordinator, so certainly he's going to have a little bit of a different philosophy in general, and I do like that. I think the change was needed on the defensive side of the ball. Bob Sutton had done a nice job for years and years, but, the defense, like you said, was an issue, especially the last 2 years. Did they do enough? Yes, I like their improvements. I do. Even though they're not like huge superstar improvements, Alex Okafor is a really good edge, outside linebacker, defensive end type of guy who's good against the run, and he's a good pass rusher, but not a great pass rusher. Again, Bashaud Breeland at corner. I think that does help out the secondary. Let's not forget Breeland was going to sign a big free agent contract last year and had a toe issue, right? That kind of canceled everything out when he went and got his physical, and then he kind of had to sign a 1-year prove-it deal. And then with the Honey Badger, I like that too on the defensive side of the ball. I think the offense was fine. I'm not worried about anything over there, even though I know they lost Mitch Morse and all that. But the defense, I do think the moves they're making will help their football team.
Well, and I was talking to somebody last week at the league meetings about the Chiefs and why their defense was not as good as it needed to be. And, the offense and the defense do work together.
Yes.
And if you're scoring too quickly, right, late in the game, you're putting more pressure on your defense to try to stop the other team from scoring. And we criticize the Chiefs from time to time when it comes to their ability to manage the clock because they take too long. Sometimes you could argue they score too quickly, and that results in added stress for the defense. But it all, when you talk about situational football, it's not just what you do when you have the ball. It's thinking about what's going to happen when you don't have the ball, that broader sense of how much time's left, what are the circumstances, and how do we thread this all together so we have more points than the other team when the game ends?
Yeah, no, exactly right. It's a team sport, and you do have to marry kind of how you play your offense and defense together to kind of have a cohesive football team that makes sense. Now, the thing with the Kansas City Chiefs is, their defense, it wasn't good at anything yet last year other than sacks, yes, because a lot of the times Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in that offense would get out to a lead to where, Dee Ford, Justin Houston, all they had to worry about was rushing the passer. There was nothing else to worry about. But when the games were equal or even, they couldn't really stop anything. They couldn't cover anybody in the back end. They messed up things schematically as far as rules and things like that. And then they couldn't stop the run to go along with it. So I think the one thing we're seeing is where they might not be as good as rushing off the edge, I think they're maybe putting a little more eggs in the basket of let's be bigger up front and more physical and maybe take away the run game, and we'll push the pocket instead of trying to get Dee Ford and Justin Houston around the edge to annoy quarterbacks.
Yeah, the bottom line is those 52 sacks, what did it ultimately get you?
Yeah, it didn't do crap. Exactly right? It's a stat that looks pretty.
It got you Dee Ford offsides on the play that ultimately could have clinched the Super Bowl berth. But that stuff happens, and Ford has owned that. But the bottom line is, we assume that you need to have a great pass rush if you want to be a great defense and a great team in today's NFL, and there's such a premium placed on pass rushers. Maybe there's an argument to be made that if you have an overall great defense, you don't need to be racking up big sack numbers. That, if you have good coverage on the back end, you don't have to be knocking the quarterback down to get off the field. You can just play good defense and result in more incomplete passes and more drives ended that way. So I think it all does kind of tie together. Offense and defense, front end of your defense, back end of your defense, Chris. And the Chiefs just need to do a better job of managing the assets they have so that when the game is over, they do have more points than the other team. That's the bottom line. Their offense is good enough to get them there. Now their defense has to step up, but their offense also has to be conscious of the fact that the defense may need some help by way of game management, help that the offense can maybe better provide.
Yeah, there was some games certainly this year where the offense, you'd go, gosh, I wish Andy Reid and company would run the ball a little bit more, right? Man, they're dominating the offensive line of scrimmage. Run the ball, chew up some time, rest your defense a little bit. But again, it's hard. I know that as a play caller being Andy Reid, because he goes, okay, yeah, we got 5 yards, but damn, when we drop back at the pass, we could go for 60 or 70 yards. And that's enticing and awesome and all that. But yes, I think the patience of the run game will help out the overall prospects of the team. And to what you're saying, Mike, too, about the pass rush, hey, pass rushes are real good. I understand that. And you want to be able to create pressure. But at the same time, the Buffalo Bills, the number 2 defense in football, they were 36 sacks? They were below the middle of the league. The Dallas Cowboys, we talk about their great front four. Yeah, well, they were like in the middle of the league in sacks too. What they did have was a front four that could get there and be annoying, and then they always had 7 guys in passing lanes to make things even extra annoying for the quarterback to make decisions.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we return, yesterday we did a draft of the teams that we think will exceed the Vegas projected win totals for 2019. Today we're going to draft the teams that we think will come under their projected win totals. We'll do that next right here on PFT Live.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.